Real Estate Pro Talk with your host, Greg Ernie, connecting people, community and property.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Pro Talk. My name is Greg Ernie and today, this is going to be a fun episode today. I've got two lovely ladies that absolutely volunteered to come and join me for this interview. Rebecca Rutzou and Cathy, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Great to have you join me. Ladies, you form our, I'll call it concierge customer service team, which surprisingly, I know you know this, but surprisingly for most people, they wouldn't know that for most real estate businesses, this role doesn't exist. But you both play an integral part for our organisation. And before we get into probably chatting about what it is that you do, can I just ask how long have you both been with our organisation? And Kath, I can see you rolling your eyes. But how long have you been with us? Because I think it's important for people to understand because it ties in with what you do.
I've probably been with the company for about 25 years.
Is it 25 or a bit longer? Might be a bit longer. It might be a bit longer than 25. In fact, I remember doing work experience and Cathy, you did take me out when we did work experience many years ago. So it's over 25 years. Yes. But we'll leave it at that. Okay. And Rebecca, how long have you been with us?
I'm on 20 years.
20 years. So both long standing team members have worked in, I know Cathy, you were property management and Rebecca, you were even reception down at Croydon and have done a number of various roles. So the reason obviously that you both now are in that customer service role and concierge is you understand not just our business but so much about what's involved with a real estate transaction. So can I just ask, what is it, probably I'll start with you, Rebecca, what is it your main roles? I know we'll break down more closely what it is that you do, but just can you give us an overview of your general roles?
Yeah, sure. So I talk to vendors and purchasers very similar to what Cathy does, but my job basically is to make sure that everyone has a smooth sales and purchase experience and really get that 10 out of 10 experience that we want them to have.
Yep, and I think probably there's a thing probably in the real estate industry that generally when the sale is made, I hear around the traps that the sale was made and people forgot me. They didn't look after me. We never heard from the listing agent again or the sales agent. We never heard from the company and basically settlement came and that was it. We go another step to make sure, and that's exactly what you do, Beck, and Cathy are involved in that as well, but a huge process really to if I can say, almost nurse the buyer and seller.
Most definitely. Yeah,
from the time of the sale being made through to and even after settlement.
Yeah,
would that be?
Sure.
Yep.
Yep, easy. Yep, that's what I do cover.
And we'll get to, there's a bit more involved with that. And Kath, what's your role? Because you play an integral part of that as well.
Yeah, sure. So I liaise with the purchasers once they've signed the contract and sort of, they don't really know what the next step is. So I help them with their balance of deposit and send contracts to their broker if they need that sort of thing. And help them with what happens next because most of the time it's their first purchase and they don't really know what the process is.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with that. A lot of the times they don't know, and when they're in and the buyer's in and signing the contract, there's that much emotions. They've got that much going on in their mind. They don't know that. Although we explain it to them, but they walk out and then they find out that they've been successful in getting the property, but they've forgotten that the deposit's due in 3 days' time, or I've got to have finance approval by the 25th of the month or whatever it might be. And they're the sort of little things that you'll be able to point out and just say, a reminder that your deposit's due and how you're going with the finance and your building and pest inspections due in, by next Wednesday or whatever it might be. Kath, you do a little bit on the building and pest inspection side. Can you talk a little bit on that?
So I go out and attend those and the bank valuations when they need to be done. So that frees up the sales agents to still keep their commitment to their vendors and purchasers. And
I think that's an important one because obviously to do a building inspection or a pest inspection, it can take, I'm sure you know, but a good couple of hours, can't it? So I know from our business point of view and also our client's point of view, for us to have an agent who's got the skills associated with selling and looking after the buyers, we don't really want them just sitting there waiting for an inspection to happen. So you'll organise all of that, you'll coordinate it, you book it in, you meet them there and that process happens smoothly, which is
Yes,
really good.
yes.
And the same, a lot of people don't realise that when a property's sold and it's subject to finance, as part of that, the bank quite often will send a valuer to actually come and value the property. So you'll meet the valuer there.
Yes.
You'll provide comparables if they need it, all
Yeah.
of that sort of information as well.
Correct. Yes.
Spot on. Beck, can you break down a little bit more of your role? Because I know Kath's very busy doing the building and pest and the bank valuations, a lot of that side. What aspect do you do?
So as soon as the sale takes place, I call the vendor and introduce myself and just let them know that I'm here to make sure everything runs nice and smoothly for them.
Yep.
And if they ever can't get onto their agent, that they can always give me a call and I'm always available to look after them. Just so that they feel that, like what you were saying before, about, in other situations, they feel like they're just kind of left by their agent while they're getting on with like the next sale or the listing.
Yep.
I'm basically to make sure that they still feel that love through the whole transaction with us.
To nurse them through, isn't it?
Yeah.
And guide them. And I know sometimes, and I know we call it like special requests, but quite often when a property's sold, there might be a special request where the buyer wants the fridge space to be measured. Or it could be, I had one the other day where the buyer actually, after they'd bought the property, noticed that the vendors were really, they'd sort of gone past looking at the house, but really liked the outdoor entertainment setting that was there. So they said, would the owners be interested in selling that? So they're the sort of things. Sometimes it just can be little things, but it's those little things that helps make the whole process feel right and go smooth.
Especially for downsizers that have a lot of furniture and they can't take it with them, but they're really quality pieces, and sometimes the purchasers want to buy them or have them, so that kind of frees up the salespeople's time, like me coordinating that, measuring fridge space, because the purchasers, especially if they're first home buyers, they want to go buy like new furniture and fridge and that sort of stuff, so they can get that, so it's then there for settlement day.
And I'll say this because I know you probably both of you won't say it, but both of you are very good at picking up early if you can read if there might be a problem.
Yes.
And I think whenever because people are buying or selling and there's emotion involved, as I said, coming back to that deposit when it was due, sometimes people just forget something.
And they're so overwhelmed when they're signing all that paperwork and stuff, and they're so excited that they got the home, they're not thinking about like what's coming next.
Yep. And what buyers don't realise especially is if they forget to pay the deposit when it's due, that actually puts them in breach of the contract. So by being in breach of the contract, that then means basically in effect that any other conditions of that sale aren't valid. So, it's very, very important that they pay the deposit on the date that it's due, because otherwise they can actually get themselves seriously into a fair bit of strife, especially if it was subject to finance or a building and pest inspection. If they haven't paid that deposit, then all of a sudden they're well and truly in strife. So it's really important.
Yeah.
Beck, anything else?
Yes, so I do liaise a lot with the agents and the clients. So sometimes, as we said before, they want to go back and do like measuring and stuff like that. So I can coordinate that when they're ready to do their final inspection as well. Let the agents know that they want to go in and what days they want to do, so they can meet them back out of the property and do that final inspection before that home is all theirs on settlement day.
Yep.
So that's always an exciting time. I love handing over the keys on settlement day and seeing their faces, and I love it when the whole family comes in and stuff to pick up the keys. So that's always. It
was funny. Last week I was in a meeting just in our boardroom, and I could see some people. It was a Friday morning. A young couple were coming to pick the keys up. Well, it must have been the girlfriend of the actual, probably her boyfriend was buying the property.
Yeah.
She's literally videoed him walking in, followed him in on the mobile phone, and then they came out, and we there was a few of us in our leadership meeting, and we watched them do this, and then they came out the front and then stood out the front of the office, and he's got like a big grin holding the gift that we give, and it's such a special time for people, isn't it? So
well, last Friday, I don't know if you were here, the guy, he rang to see if he could bring his dogs in.
Yeah, right.
He was excited about like getting his house, so we had the dogs in. I'm like, yeah, sure, come in. We have kids, dogs, everyone, family affair here.
Yeah, bring them in, absolutely. You also coordinate connections, and can you talk a little bit on that as well?
Yep, so when you're purchasing a home, I can organise your connections for you to happen on settlement day, get any meter numbers and things like that. Always for our vendor that's leaving the home, I can always transfer or help them organise their transfer of their electricity and gas to their new property.
Yep.
And often we have vacant properties coming on the market as well, so for photos and home staging and things like that to make the homes look amazing and presentable for those photos.
Yep.
Can organise those connections as well, temporary connections.
Yeah, so that's just a little side one. It's not so much when the property's sold, but we've just this week, or today, we've been working on a property that we're putting on the market. We've had it staged, it's vacant, and you've actually organised for a temporary power connection. So the owners haven't had to do it. You've got it all sorted. We've now got power, we've got lights on, and that'll be connected while the property's for sale. So, yeah, good. What else? What else have you?
I do lots.
I know
Cathy
you do.
and I are always coordinating and chatting, and I'm always, ringing the agents and coordinating with them. But at the end of the day, my goal is just to make sure that everyone has that 10 out of 10 experience and feel like they were looked after. And, this is probably the most expensive thing anyone will buy, and not everyone does it every day. So with our knowledge, we kind of just help them, walk them through that process.
Yep. And our goal, obviously, at the end of once the property's sold, is we want every client to be a 10 out of 10. That's our goal. Anything less than a 10, basically, if it's an 8 or less, management, our leadership team, we want to know about that. It's interesting, Beck, you've come to me many times, and the amount of, what is it that a lot of buyers say to you where they've actually sold through a different real estate company? Because this just blows me away.
Yeah, so...
And probably before you answer, it blows me away, but it makes me know that we're doing it right.
Sure, yeah. So when I do chat to them afterwards, people that have sold with another agency and have purchased with us, I hear it all the time, that they felt like they got our service from us and the team, and how well they were looked after by us, and then they've sold their house with somebody else and they've paid their commission to somebody else, another agency, but they've felt that they've got their service and been well looked after with us.
Yeah, so they've sold through someone else, then they've then gone out and looked to buy, and we've looked after them as we do and the team, and then at the very end, that's the comment that they've made, that they've felt like they've had better service from us than the actual company that they paid to sell. It's incredible, and I know that's our goal, is to make sure that both our buyers and our sellers just receive that 10 out of 10 service. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add? You guys do an amazing job. I know I speak for, certainly all of our sales team, but for our clients, they absolutely love the work that you do, and I hear it time and time again how much they appreciate really you holding their hand and nursing them through, because it is that stressful time, and it is, as you're both saying, it is an emotional period. They've got so much going on, and it can be very stressful. So thank you from our point of view, and it's been absolutely terrific to have you join us, and it wasn't as bad as what you thought appearing on this, was it? No, I know you were both delighted when I said, would you like to appear on Pro Talk? But Kath and Beck, thank you, ladies, and you do a great job. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.